We are now in the first, what's known as exceptional registration period for the Club World Cup, which lasts until June the 10th. Is it realistic? Could we expect any Arsenal signings this early on? Obviously, Zubimendi's quite close, maybe, but or is the next window more realistic to get those deals over the line, do you think?
I'm feeling it's probably the latter. I think it'll be I couldn't see it right now and say they're not going to sign anyone in this window or register anyone in this window, but it's not looking like that's going to happen from the sort of word that I'm getting. Zubimendi might be a little bit, although we all know that's pretty much done. I think we're going to have to wait a little bit longer. Obviously, he's away with Spain at the moment for the Nations League games as well. But I still think that's going to happen. Even if it doesn't happen in this window, I still think it will happen. So yeah, I would say right now I'm looking more towards the main transfer window rather than the Club World Cup window for Arsenal to really sort of get their business done.
Yeah, absolutely. And Arsenal, unfortunately, do look like, well, maybe not unfortunately, but it seems that we were talking last week about Juan Garcia and the goalkeeper situation. It seems like he's now made a U-turn and will be going to Barcelona after all. But you were saying how maybe 20, 25 million, that's quite a lot to spend on a keeper who would, almost certainly be backup to David Raya. And if Karl Hein is coming back, if he's willing to accept the number two spot for a season, then Arsenal are sorted in that position. But I was reading a report from James McNicholas this morning saying that Karl Hein does now want regular first team football, fully fledged international. So say if he's not happy being the number two next season, could that be a bit of a sticky situation or a problem area for Arsenal in the remainder of the window?
Yeah, I think we're used to it though. It seems like it's a problem area every single summer transfer window for Arsenal at the moment. The goalkeeping situation is just chop and change, isn't it? Garcia, I'm not surprised that that's looking like it's going to end up the way it is. I just think it's an incredibly hard sell to bring Garcia to Arsenal, isn't it? When he's basically named goalkeeper of the year in Spain, and then what you're going to say to him, come to Arsenal and be number two behind David Raya. It's just, how do you sell that? He's just not going to make that move. So it doesn't surprise me. It looks like he's going to go to Barcelona and it looks like he's going to be number one there. But that leaves Arsenal with an issue. It's something they've got to solve. They just about solved it at the end of the last transfer window, but not in a very, very successful way. Neto came in, did the job, but literally played one game, couldn't play in the Carabao Cup games because they left it so late and he was cup tied already by the time they brought him in. So you want to avoid that sort of situation this time. You want to be able to give David Raya a little bit more rest than he got last season. And you want to protect yourself as well slightly better. If David Raya, that Arsenal were pretty lucky that David Raya stayed completely injury free last summer. I think from what we saw from Neto in his 1 90-minute appearance for Arsenal, had he been called upon for a 6 week period, for example, I think Arsenal would have really, really struggled. And so you've got to protect yourself a little bit better than that. So it's a situation they're going to have to deal with. Ideally, Karl Hein would be, for me, I kind of look at that and think that would be perfect for a season. But I can completely understand if he wants to go now and really crack on in his career and play week in, week out like he did last season when he's on loan. So yeah, it's another problem for Andre Berta to solve. One he's gonna have to get clever with, I think.
Yeah, I mean, clever. I mean, obviously Garcia going to Barcelona, and like you said, likely first choice. There is Ter Stegen and Wojciech Szczesny already at Barcelona. I mean, maybe Szczesny coming back for a year. I mean, that's very fanciful, but would you take that?
Yeah, maybe. I think it looks like the more likely of the two to leave would be Ter Stegen rather than Szczesny. It looks like Szczesny's probably going to sign a new deal, and if they might try and move Ter Stegen on. He would come with quite high wages, wouldn't he? And with your number two goalkeeper, do you really want to invest those sort of wages in a player? I'm not sure. I kind of flip flop between it too. It's like, do you want a younger goalkeeper or do you want a kind of experienced Neto like goalkeeper? It's a tough one. That's why I think it's a real difficult situation for Arsenal to solve. But actually, I remember last summer, I was vouching for Szczesny. I thought that would be a really sensible move at the end of his time at Juventus before going to Barcelona. So I wouldn't be against it if it happened now. But I do wonder with Szczesny as well. He retired at the end of last season. The only reason he went to Barcelona was because he was going to be playing, really, because of the injuries to Ter Stegen and all that sort of stuff. Is he really going to want to come and sit on the bench for Arsenal in the final, maybe the final year of his career? I'm not sure. There's that sort of romantic Szczesny return type feel to it. But when you sort of try and look at it realistically, I'm not sure it's one for club or for the player.
Yeah, maybe just one for the vibes, if nothing else.
For the vibes, do it for the vibes.
Absolutely.